Hello and welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. Hope you're well. New little angle, side angle, because I just wanted to sit in here, and also, truth be told, I've got so many library books here today to show you. So I'm in an hurry because I didn't have anything planned. It's Thursday, by the way, which is the day that I film my videos. And I didn't have anything planned to film today. And I was thinking, what can I give the viewers of Lauren and the Books? Established 2014. I can't even log into my laptop, so I won't be giving them anything at this rate. And I had a little look around, and I thought, well, I've got loads of library books out at the moment, and I could use this as an opportunity not only to go through these library books, but also to chat about what I've got out from the library. I'm a massive champion of the libraries, guys, so I'm always keen for you guys to use your library. So do let me know down below if you use your library. Very, very keen to hear it. The library that these books are from, because I'm a member of two libraries. One near where I work and one where I live. And the one where I live, which is where all of these ones are from, you have to pay £1 for a reservation, which I think is an absolute respectable sum to pay to get a book in, and has saved me much money already even this year. But I do have here with me 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 books. So that is £17 worth of reading there that I would like to get done. Now, I've also got books within these books that are due back sooner. Oh, actually, there's one here as well, because Daphne du Maurier, so Manderley Forever by Tatiana de Rosnay. This is a biography of Daphne du Maurier. I also got that out, so £18 worth of books. Really, guys. Oh, and if I'm also being honest, £19 worth of books, because I'm about to finish this as well. So yeah, what I'm saying is I've spent a bit of money on getting these books out from the library, and it's all good and well doing that, but if you are then not reading them, it's a bit of a waste of money, isn't it? So I'm going to go through the books here that I've got, the 17 ones I've got, and maybe work out a bit of a reading order, maybe work out what I want to prioritise. If there's things in here that I don't think I'm ever going to read, then we may as well take them back to the library. With the library that I will be discussing these books from, I can renew books 4 times, so long as there's not lots and lots of reservations on it. So a book like the first book I'm going to show you, which is Before the Queen Goes to Sleep, this has got 3 reservations on it. If it had 1 or 2 reservations, they'd probably say to me, you can renew it. But as it's only got, because it's got 3 reservations, this is due back by the 10th of May. So this one, if I'm going to read it, I need to read it soon, because it's due back before the 10th of May. And when I picked it up, I think I heard about this through Jen's Best Books of the Year, maybe. When I picked it up, I was like, oh yeah, that sounds okay, but maybe not a priority for me. But since then, when I've mentioned it, and I must be, and a few of these books you would have seen mentioned in Friday reading vlogs, because that's normally the day I go to the library because of baby wine. But a few people messaged me off the back of that and said, oh, it's really funny, or it's really good. So yeah, maybe this is becoming a bit of a priority for me. So this one is due back on the 10th of May. So if I'm going to read it, maybe this is where I'll go next. Also, me saying all of this, I'm actually in the middle. It's May when I'm filming this, and I'm taking part in Daphne du Maurier May, which is a month that I've sort of invented myself, where I'm going to be reading books by Daphne du Maurier, books about Daphne du Maurier. I've got a retelling of Rebecca. I've just got an audiobook of another retelling of Rebecca, but set after Rebecca, which I'm quite excited about. So yeah, so there's going to be like mainly Daphne du Maurier reading going on this month, but there will also be other types of reading, which is fine. So maybe this will be the book that I am reading. So should we read the blurb and then the first line of the books I've got here? And then that will give me a bit of a feel for whether or not she's ever going to get round to them, take them back to the library, or put them in some sort of order. So if I want to, we're going to this one first because it's due back first. So this is Before the Queen Falls Asleep by Huzama Habib. Born a girl to parents who expected a boy, Jihad grows up treated like the eldest son, wearing boys' clothing and sharing the financial burden of the head of the household with her father. Now middle-aged, Jihad tells her daughter a story from her life each night. As Maleka prepares to leave home to attend university abroad, her mother revisits the past of their Palestinian family, tenderly describing their life in exile in Kuwait and her own experiences of love and loss as she grows up. Hazama Habayeb weaves a richly observed and affectionate portrait of a family displaced from their homeland and of the women at its heart, women with too much to do, too many mouths to feed and too many thwarted dreams. Told with humour and poise, this is a story of the love and betrayal that pursues Jihad and her family from Kuwait to Jordan to Dubai. And this has been translated from Arabic by Kay Heikkinen. So yeah, I mean, pointing to all the good things. Palestinian roots, translated. Here we go. The first line is, I had not thought that your second departure would be very hard on me, intolerably harder than the first. Okay, that hasn't gripped me. Oh, however, on the other page, there's a quote which says, your sandwich, run and rescue your sandwich, your majesty, it's burning. And I could completely relate with that because I would be rescuing a sandwich. Okay. We'll put it on the top of the pile because it's due back on the 10th. Nothing, I mean, the blurb is making me want to grab it more than that first line. When I read the blurb, I was like, oh yeah, that sounds really good. But now actually, the first line didn't do all that much for me. Chapter 1 is called Concerning the Second Departure. But I do like that sandwich quote. We pop it at the top of the pile. Unless anything else, well, I mean, there's 17 here. There's going to be more. If I'm already feel sort of unexcited about it. Then I've got, by BookTube's own Katie Lumsden, The Secrets of Hartwood Hall. I've realised more, as I get older, I much prefer a paperback, which is a bit disappointing that I've got so many hardbacks here. And I waited for this to come out in paperback before I put a reservation on it at the library. Katie has a YouTube channel, BookTube channel here over on BookTube called Books and Things. I will link it down below. And this is Katie's first book, which is very exciting. It's been blurred by Stacey Halls. It says, this house is hiding something, but so is the new governess. Yes, please. Nobody ever goes to Hartwood Hall. Margaret Lennox is recently widowed and in need of a position. It must be far from the past that still haunts her. Sorry. The position must be far from the past that still haunts her. She finds what appears to be the perfect engagement, governess to a child at an isolated country house. Yet from the first, Hartwood Hall is unwelcoming. Why do locals eye her employer, widowed Mrs. Eversham, with suspicion? What is hidden in the abandoned East Wing? Who are the strangers coming and going in the dark? Hartwood Hall conceals mysteries, perhaps even danger, but Margaret bears her own secret, one she fears more than anything. Well, bloody hell, I mean, talking about Daphne du Maurier, that sounds sort of rooted in Daphne du Maurier's bits. Also, like, you can tell that Katie is such a fan of sort of Victorian and classic literature because she split the book into volumes and then has chapters within there, and there's a contents page at the beginning of a book, which I love. Right, okay. Oh, this first line is very Manderley as well. When I think of Hartwood Hall, there are moments that come back to me again and again, moments that stain me, that cling like ink to my skin. I like that a lot. I like that more than I like Before the Queen Falls Asleep. It goes on the top. I've got a feeling Before the Queen Goes to Sleep is going back to the library before I get a chance. Right, all the rest of them have all got, The Storm We Made is due back on the 21st of May, but it's got 5 reservations on it. Oh God, Pineapple Street's got 7 reservations on it. Right, let's see if this is capturing me. By Vanessa Chan, her decision changed history, now her children must survive it. Blurbed by Tracy Chevalier on the front. Oh, okay, so it's set in British Malaya in 1930s and Japanese-occupied Malaya in 1945. British Malaya 1930s, discontented housewife Cicely is seduced by Japanese General Fujiwara and the glorious future he is promising for independent Malaya, free from British colonialism. As she becomes further embedded as his own personal spy, she unwittingly alters the fate of her country by welcoming in a punishing form of dictatorship under the Japanese in World War II. Japanese-occupied Malaya, 1945, Cicely and her family are barely surviving. Her children, Jujubee, Abel and Jasmine, are surrounded by threat and look to their mother to keep them safe. But she can't tell them about the part she played in the war, and she doesn't know how to protect them any longer with the new regime in place. Can Cicely face up to her past to save her children, or is it already too late? Bloody hell. That sounds a lot, doesn't it? Okay. I'm not gonna, so there's like a read, oh God, it's got all the things that I'm into in the beginning of a book. So there's a reader note, which talks a little bit about Malaysia, which I believe to be from Vanessa herself. Then we've got a historical timeline, which I find very, very helpful with periods of history, particularly in other countries that I'm not familiar with, so great. And then it's got a map of Malaya, and then chapter 1, so already, all of those things I love in a book. So chapter 1, Cecily, Bintang, Kuala Lumpur, February 1945, Japanese-occupied Malaya. Teenage boys had begun to disappear. Well, that's bloody great as well. I mean, all of these are going to be great because they're from best books of the year or books that I've seen that are coming out this year. I think that's going top of the pile. So far, every book's been put top of the pile. Right, then we've got Jonathan Abernathy, You Are Kind by Molly McGee. I cannot remember why I got this out. So Yeah, published by Fourth Estate. Let's have a look. Jonathan Abernathy is a loser, unemployed and behind on his student loan repayments. The only thing Abernathy has in abundance is debt. When a secretive government loan forgiveness program offers him a job he can literally do in his sleep, Abernathy thinks he's found his big break. He finds himself entering the dreams of white-collar workers, flagging their anxieties for removal at night so they can be more productive in the day. If Abernathy can at least appear competent at this new job, might he have a new chance at a new life? As Abernathy tries to find his footing in this new gig, reality and morality begin to warp around him. Soon the lines between life and work, right and wrong, and even sleep and consciousness have blurred, and Abernathy begins to wonder just what he might have signed away. Wildly imaginative, laced with black humour and full of close-to-the-bone truths, Jonathan Abernathy, You Are Kind is the cult workplace novel that's like nothing else you've read before. And I do like a workplace novel, guys. And it's dedicated for the forgotten who have been worked to death, which is great. Okay, contents at the beginning, enjoy that. Oh, and each of the chapters is entitled, so chapter 1 is, or part 1 is Jonathan Abernathy falls asleep. Part 2 is Jonathan Abernathy is sleeping. Jonathan Abernathy dreams. Jonathan Abernathy wakes. So this is part 1, Jonathan Abernathy falls asleep. 1. Jonathan Abernathy, God, I've just said that name so many times now, it doesn't even make sense to me. Jonathan Abernathy steps into the office and death is there. Well, actually, I thought this was going to be one that I was going to send back, but I'd forgotten it was a workplace novel. I like the premise of it. It sounds similar to something I've read before. I'm trying to think what it is. Doing a job in your sleep. It's also reminded me of the film Don't Worry, Darling. Don't Worry, Darling, is that what it's called? With Harry Styles and Florence Pugh in it. Okay, it goes to the bottom of the pile, but it's not going back. That is that. These are all good. Some of these I think are from people's like exciting releases that are coming out this year, which is a video that I never make because I'm never sort of organised enough to be on top of that sort of thing, but I very much benefit from watching other people's videos of that because then I always go and put reservations on, thusly. Then we've got Winter Animals by Ashani Lewis. Now part of me is thinking, this says Winter Animals, it's not winter. I like to read quite seasonally. Okay, I like this front cover. It's got like a picture, a wintry scene in a picture, and then it's got a few bits on the floor here, like a bag of clothes or something. Let's have a look. In one of America's happiest cities, 38-year-old Ellen is trapped under the shadow of the snow-capped Cascade Mountains. Her husband has left her. Her belongings are in the boot of her car. Her days are filled mostly with silence and drinking. When she meets 4 English teachers in an empty bar, she is enamoured. Luca, Clover, George and Lynn are wealthy squatters, drifting between ski resorts and breaking into empty Airbnbs. When they bring Ellen into their fold and into their messy and tangled relationships, she senses a secret act. I'm jumping ahead. She senses a violent secret that fuels the 4's never-ending disappearing act. Dazzling, cultish and intensely committed to creating their own utopia, they force Ellen to ruminate on the irresistible pull of bright young things. She doesn't understand what they want from her, but how can she leave when she has nowhere to go? A dark meditation on the dangers and seductive power of youthful idealism and the slippages between friendship and love, Winter Animals is an extraordinary debut, examining freedom, friendship, desire and excess. Sounds a bit like The Secret History, doesn't it? Chapter 1. The brewery sits under the mountains in the part of Bend, Oregon, where the town turns to high desert. She's hanging on to it. She's hanging on to it. It's going in 3rd place of the pile. The pile may get knocked over and may be irrelevant quite quickly, but there we go. This one, Mercedes recommended. This is Speak Okinawa. This is a memoir by Elizabeth Mika Breener, and it's about Elizabeth's parents who met at a nightclub in Okinawa. Her mother was a waitress born and raised on the Japanese island, impoverished, living through the long aftermath of the Second World War. Her father was a soldier from a middle-class American family. Elizabeth grew up in the 1980s in Fairport, New York, a predominantly white suburb. She found her mother embarrassing, her accent, her culture, the features she'd inherited, and longed to be like the other kids at school. She began to rebel, breaking away from the home in ever more self-destructive ways. It took the breakdown of a relationship for Elizabeth to reassess what love and belonging meant. Speak Okinawa is a courageous and heartbreaking account of her journey home, back to herself, back to Okinawa, and back to the mother she had pushed away for so long. This is a story about a mother and a daughter, and a story about the island of Okinawa, from its first inhabitants to its colonialisation by Japan and the United States. But above all, it's a story about reckoning with your history and the links that tie you to your heritage and give you a sense of home within yourself. Well, that sounds all bloody great, doesn't it? And it starts with a beautiful photograph of what I imagine to be Elizabeth's parents there. Lovely. Okay. Chapter 1 is called Worse Than the Dog. My first memory, a dog bites me on the arm, not hard, but just enough to jar me into consciousness. Well, I think this sounds great. I think it's going in second place. Second place. I haven't read it, I mean, you'll know if you've been here, like my reading this year. I'm going to have to move these a bit closer to me, I think, because they're going to fall over. I can put the laptop away now, I think. Oh, also, Speak Okinawa and Jonathan Abernathy, You Are Kind, and Winter Animals have all been renewed 3 times. So we're getting to the end of renewal time before I have to actually take them back. But I'm going to pop the laptop down there because we've looked at that now. My reading this year hasn't been great, so I really am keen to read some good stuff. But yeah, I mean, so far, I don't want to send any of these back to the library. They all sound like good stuff. This is one I've just picked up from the library. This is called This Love by Lotta Jeffs. And it says here, this isn't a love story. This is a story about love. Elizabeth Day's blurbed it, tender, fresh and unputdownable. I think Simon talked about this in his upcoming books. When May and Ari meet in their final year at Leeds University, their connection is magnetic. May, while stubborn and no stranger to breaking hearts, needs Ari's bright light to guide her out of her self-centered ways. Ari, vibrant, charming and reeling in the aftermath of a scandal in New York, clings to May as his grounding anchor. As the years sweep by, the two traverse the tumult of life, toxic partners and hidden secrets, the heavy weight of grief and a complicated, unignorable desire to start a family. If they can hold on to one another in the face of the relentless past and the inevitable future, they might discover how to build something beautiful out of their expansive, boundary-breaking love. Spanning 10 years of extraordinary friendship, This Love is a vivid and epic tale of finding your soulmate, building an unconventional family, and the limitless, ever-changing forms love can take. Well, I'm into that. And there's poems within this book which are written as Ari by the poet Thomas Stewart, which is exciting. Right, part 1, chapter 1, Leeds, September 2014. A flash of white light and a hot blast of air, dense with sweat and poppers, spilled out onto the terrace as the door to the club opened, then quickly closed. Evocative. Things that I feel like I will like about this. Friendship, like books about friendship, like books that span a large amount of time, and I do like books about found family. And this to me sounds as though maybe this is a book about 2 people deciding to have a child together despite not being in a romantic relationship. Is that what this book's about? That's the vibe I got from the blurb. But yeah, it sounds okay. No, it sounds good. I'm going to put it second to last. I'm going to put it above Jonathan Abernathy, but below Before the Queen Falls Asleep. There we go. Ordinary Human Failings. This is one from the Women's Prize for Fiction long list. Didn't get shortlisted, but I've hung on to it because I think I will enjoy this, by Megan Nolan. It's supposed to be like a sort of crime-ish novel. It's also quite short and it's in paperback. So those are the things. But I thought this might be something that I'd be into. So it says it's set in 1990s as well. It's 1990 in London, and after the death of a young girl on an estate, the finger of suspicion is pointing at one reclusive Irish family, the Greens. At their heart sits Carmel, beautiful, otherworldly, and once destined for a future beyond her circumstances until life and love got in her way. Now, as the scandal unfolds, she must confront their secrets and silences that have trapped her family for so many generations. I just think this sounds quite good. Part 1. Okay, well, it looks like there's a quote above it, but it's not sort of in italics or anything, but this is exciting. So, down below in Schuyler Square, the trouble was passing quickly from door to door, mothers telling mothers, not speaking aloud, but somehow saying, baby gone, bad man, wild animal. 1. Carmel. The night the child went missing, Carmel sat a few miles away in the window of a cafe in Brockley. Yeah, I think that sounds good. Might go to the top, you know. Yeah, I mean, like I say, this order doesn't mean anything. This one I am going to send back. It's decided. I forgot I still had it. So this is Claire Kilroy's Soldier Sailor. This was long-listed and then shortlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction. I always thought, oh, I don't know if this will be for me. It's about a woman having a baby. There was a few books about motherhood in the long list. I am not a mother, unless you count the mother... unless you count my mothering of my my cat Daphne, which I suppose I do, nor do I want to be a mother. So I was always thinking, oh, this is at the bottom of my pile. It's now been shortlisted. I don't think I'm going to read it, which is unusual for me. I always try to read all of the books on the shortlist, but I just don't feel like, yeah, I just don't really want to read it. So there we go, that's decided. Just go back to the library. So the first one going back to the library. Then I've got Yerba Buena by Nina LaCour. I think I had this out for, I think I reserved this 4 times and then I've got it back out again because I was so keen to read it. When Sarah Foster runs away from home at 16, she leaves behind not only the losses that have shattered her world, but the girl she once was, capable of trust and intimacy. Years later in Los Angeles, she's sought after bartender, renowned as much for her brilliant cocktails as for the mystery that clings to her. Across the city, Emily Dubois is in a holding pattern. In her 7th year and 5th major as an undergraduate, she yearns for the beauty and community her Creole grandparents cultivated but is unable to commit. On a whim, she takes a job arranging flowers at a popular local restaurant, Yerba Buena. When Sarah catches sight of Emily one morning at the restaurant, their connection is immediate, but the damage both women carry and the choices they have made will pull them apart again and again. Still sounds good. Still sounds good. Like things set in restaurants. An afternoon in spring. They rode together up the hill. Not giving much away. I'm going to put that middle. Middle. Then I've got YN by Esther Yee. This is a book that's been recommended to me a few times. Having read and enjoyed 2 of my favourite books from last year, in fact, books about fandom. I'm a Fan by... I might have let it out. Sheena Patel and Idle Burning by Rin Yasami. A few people said to me that I would also like this. So this is one that I got out from the library, renewed it 4 times and then took it back again. Again, it's not even a long one, so it's less than 200 pages, guys. So it's a Europa edition. Surreal, hilarious and shrewdly poignant. A novel about a Korean-American woman living in Berlin whose obsession with a K-pop idol sends her to Seoul on a journey of literary self-destruction. It's as if her life only began once Moon appeared in it. The desultory copywriting work, the boyfriend, and the want of anything not Moon quickly falls away when she beholds the idol in concert, where Moon dances as if his movements have created their own gravitational field. On live streams, as fans from around the world comment in dozens of languages, even on skincare products endorsed by the wildly popular Korean boy band, of which Moon is the youngest, most luminous member. Seized by ineffable desire, our unnamed narrator begins writing YN fanfic, in which you can, the reader, insert your name and play out the intimate relationship with the unattainable star. Then Moon suddenly retires, vanishing from the public eye. As YN flies to Berlin to Seoul to be with Moon, our narrator too journeys to Korea in search of the object of her love. There, an escalating series of mistranslations and misidentifications lands her at the headquarters of the Kafkaesque entertainment company that manages the boy band until, at a secret location, together with Moon at last, art and real life approach their final convergence. Again, sounds great. Chapter 1, A Pack of Boys. The Pack of Boys had released their first album in Seoul 2 years ago, and now they were selling out corporate arenas and Olympic stadiums all over the world. It's going on top of the pile. Every time I sort of remember how much I enjoyed those books last year, I think about reading that again. Bellies by Nicola Dinan. Did I think this was going to be on the Women's Prize? Is that why it's ended up here? It begins as your typical boy meets boy. While out with friends at a university drag night, Tom buys Ming a drink. Confident and witty, a charming young playwright, Ming is the perfect antidote to Tom's awkward energy, and their connection is instant. Tom finds himself deeply and desperately drawn into Ming's orbit, and on the cusp of graduation, he's already mapped out their future together. But shortly after they move to London to start their next chapter, Ming announces her intention to transition. From London to Kuala Lumpur, New York to Cologne, we follow Tom and Ming as they face shifts in their relationship in the wake of Ming's transition. Through a spiral of unforeseen crises, some personal, some professional, some life-altering, Tom and Ming are forced to confront the vastly different shapes their lives have taken since graduating, and each must answer the essential question: is it worth losing a part of yourself to become who you want to be? Sounds bloody great. I really have not read enough books about transitioning. I'm remembering that book by Tori Peters. Oh, what was that called? I really enjoyed that. Detransition Baby, and we read that for Patreon Book Club and I very much enjoyed it, so yeah, great. Number one, Bellies. I wore a dress on the first night I met Ming. There we go. That's going in at place number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. 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 Right. Then I've got Memento Piece by Lisa Ko. Sorry, that was written so close together. I thought it said Lisako. In the early 1980s, Giselle Chin, Jackie Ong, and Ellen Ng are the 3 teenagers drawn together by their shared sense of alienation and desire for something different. Allied in the weirdest parts of themselves, they envision each other as artistic collaborators and embark on a future defined by freedom and creativity. By the time they're adults, their dreams are murkier. As a performance artist, Giselle must navigate an elite social world she never conceived of. As a coder thrilled by the internet's early egalitarian promise, Jackie must... I'm already thinking I'm not going to like this. Jackie must contend with its more sinister shift towards monetization and surveillance. And as a community activist, Ellen confronts the increasing gentrification and policing overwhelming her New York City neighborhood. Over time, their friendship matures and changes. Their definitions of success become complicated and their sense of what matters evolves. Moving from the pre-digital 1980s to the art and tech subculture of the 1990s to a strikingly imagined portrait of the 2040s, Memory Piece is an innovative and audacious story of 3 lifelong friends as they strive to build satisfying lives in a world that turns out to be radically different from the one they were promised. Don't think it's for me. The Lost Notebooks of Giselle Chin. Before the raids, before the hidden compartments and career retrospectives, there was a lonely girl in her room. No, I'm going to send that back. It's just... No, I'm not a big fan of things that are set in the future, particularly like the near future as well. I think that's why. 2 graphic novels. Oh my god, both of them so heavy. Something about graphic novels that are just so heavy. Genderqueer, a memoir by Maya Kababi. I think this is the blurb on the back. In Genderqueer, Maya Kababi has crafted an intensely cathartic autobiography about her path to identifying as non-binary and asexual and coming out to her family and society by addressing questions about gender identity, what it means and how to think about it. The story also doubles as a much needed, useful and touching guide. There we go. I can only describe to you what the pictures are saying rather than read you the first line. So it is what looks like a male person filling the boot of a car, and behind that person is a toaster and a lamp and a backpack. And then the next picture is that person seemingly saying goodbye to 2 older people, and a younger person saying, "Do you have everything?" And that person saying, "I think so." There we go. I can never give... I very rarely buy graphic novels because they're expensive and because they aren't really things that I revisit very often. So if I've got them out from the library, then I do my best to read them. They also don't take all that long to read. They're normally sort of things I read on cozy reading nights as well. So I will hang on to this, but this will go at the bottom. And then I've also got Ducks, 2 Years in the Oil Sands by Kate Beaton. I've read a book by Kate Beaton before. What was it called? Doesn't say any of her... Oh, here we go. No, it doesn't say. Oh, Hark a Vagrant, yeah it does. Before there was Kate Beaton, cartoonist of Hark a Vagrant, which I've read, there was Kate Beaton of Cape Breton Beatons, specifically Maybo, a tight-knit seaside community where the lobster is as abundant as beaches, fiddles and Gaelic folk songs. With the singular goal, this is so heavy this book, with the singular goal of paying off her student loans, Kate heads out west to take advantage of Alberta's oil rush, part of the long tradition of East Coasters who seek gainful employment elsewhere when they can't find it in their homeland they love so dear. Katie, I'm calling her Kate and her name's Katie. Katie encounters the harsh reality of life in the oil sands where trauma is an everyday occurrence yet is never discussed. Beaton's natural cartooning prowess is on full display as she draws colossal machinery and mammoth vehicles set against a sublime Albertan backdrop of wildlife, northern lights and boreal forest. Her first full-length graphic narrative, Ducks, 2 Years in the Oil Sands, is an untold story of a country that prides itself on its egalitarian ethos and natural beauty, while simultaneously exploiting both the riches of its land and the humanity of its people. Like I said, can't believe how heavy this is. So it starts with maps. It's got a map of Canada, and then a map of Nova Scotia, which is very close to Prince Edward Island, which is where Anne of Green Gables is set, and then a closer map on Alberta's oil sands. And then it opens up with a picture of who I imagine to be Katie, stood with her hands in her pockets saying, "This story starts in 2005, I'm 21 years old." Again, we'll hang on to it, but it will go at the bottom. Then I've got Book Girl 11, which I think was on Jean's Best Books of the Year last year. It's a crime novel, which I do enjoy reading, and I do feel like they're good sort of palate cleansers. And this also has basis with a true crime podcast, which I do think is a good way to now look at like crime novels that have been done for years and years and years, and I enjoy reading them, but sometimes they're very, very samey, and I think using the sort of more recent narrative device of a podcast is a good idea. So it says here, victims. 20 years ago, the countdown killer went on a deadly spree. Each victim was a year younger than the last. Vigilante, true crime podcaster El Castillo has long been hell-bent on finding him and serving historic justice. Vengeance. Now he's back. El must stop the countdown before the killer can claim his next victim. Part 1, The Countdown. 1. Justice Delayed Podcast, December the 5th, 2019. Transcript. Season 5, Episode 1. El voiceover. Minnesota is known for the cold. So it really is told like a podcast. That's edging up to the top, you know. We'll put that in as number 4. These are falling over now. Right, last one! And that's Pineapple Street. And this is one that has got 7 reservations on it, so it might need to come back. So I picked this up because I had said on Instagram that I hadn't had anything this year that I'd really, really loved, and what had people read this year that they really, really loved or thought I would really love. And a few people mentioned Pineapple Street, and then when I went to the library the next time, it was just there. So I got it by Jenny Jackson, and it says here, Pineapple Street follows 3 women in an old Brooklyn Heights clan. One who was born, Brooklyn Heights, because of Brooklyn Heights from RuPaul's Drag Race. One who was born with money, one who married into it, and one who wants to give it all away. Darlie, the eldest daughter in the well-connected, carefully guarded Stockton family, has never had to worry about money. She followed her heart, trading her job and her inheritance for motherhood, sacrificing more of herself than she ever intended. Sasha, Darlie's new sister-in-law, has come from more humble origins, and her hesitancy about signing a prenup has everyone worried about her intentions. And Georgiana, the baby of the family, is falling in love with someone she can't and really shouldn't have, and must confront the kind of person she wants to be. Shot through with the indulgent pleasures of life among New York's one-percenters, Pineapple Street is a smart, escapist debut novel that sparkles with wit, full of recognisable, lovable, if fallible characters. It's about the peculiar unknowability of someone else's family, the miles between the haves and have-nots, and the insanity of first love, all wrapped in a story that is a sheer delight. This does sound a sheer delight. Here we go, prelude. Curtis McCoy was early for his 10 o'clock meeting, so he carried his coffee to a table by the window where he could feel the watery April sun. I'd only wish I'd felt some watery April sun. We've had a very dismal April. Okay, that's staying as well. So there we go. I'll put, the thing is that it's due back more. I'll put it towards the bottom. So I feel like I've got them in some sort of order. I don't think I'm going to be able to hold these up to you because there's lots. Let's hold them up now, and then also you can watch me smiling for my thumbnail, because I'm not going to be able to do this twice. Wow! Thumbnail done. So there we go. So 2 are going back, and then I've put the rest in a bit of an order. And if I just show you the top 3 of that order, oh god, these have gone to absolute, I've got them so mucked up. So the top 3 are YN by Esther Yee, Ordinary Human Failings by Megan Nolan, and The Storm We Made by Vanessa Chan. Worthy top 3ers. So yeah. Let's see how many of these appear in my reading wrap-ups over the next 2 months. So like I said, this month I'm doing a lot more Daphne du Maurier reading, but I will be reading other bits in between that, because historically I know that just to immerse myself fully in that for a month I get a bit bored. So yeah, let me know if you've read any of these books. Let me know if you use your library, and I'll see you all again soon for another BookTube video. Goodbye!